remember the smell of your mom's perfume from childhood, or your grandfather's voice, or what the yard outside your house looked like, every crack in the pavement, every bush. You'd bet your life on it, but you'd lose that bet. And neuroscientist Karim Nader proved it in 2000. Picture this scene. You're 30 years old, nobody, a postdoc, one of thousands of young researchers grinding away in university labs, dreaming of one day discovering something that matters. You walk into your supervisor's office, the man who wrote the textbook you studied from, the man whose name in neuroscience means everything, and you tell him, "Professor, I think the work of your entire life is built on a mistake." Joseph Ledoux didn't even argue. He just listened, said the idea didn't work. That was it. Nader understood what that meant. Going against Ledoux meant going against a dogma nobody had dared touch for decades. It meant gambling a career that barely existed yet. He stood up quietly and walked back to the lab. Here's what the dogma said. Memory works like a file on a computer. Something happens, the brain records it, the file is saved. When you need it, you open it, read it, close it. The file doesn't change. This model had sat untouched in neuroscience for decades. Nobody questioned it because nobody had a reason to. It was just how memory worked. Obviously, everyone knew that. Nader thought maybe everyone was wrong. The experiment was simple, almost elegant in its simplicity. Nader took a mouse and taught it to fear a sound. He played a tone and simultaneously delivered a mild electric shock, again and again. After a few repetitions, the mouse had learned the connection, and now the sound alone, no shock at all, made it freeze in place. Classic conditioned reflex, nothing new. Nader waited several days for the memory to fully consolidate. Then he played the sound one more time, just to make the mouse retrieve that memory. And at that exact moment, while the memory was active, he injected a protein synthesis inhibitor directly into the brain, a substance that blocks the creation of new molecules in neurons. The logic was this: if memory really is a stable file that just gets opened and closed, blocking protein synthesis at the moment of retrieval should do nothing. The file is already saved. It doesn't need new proteins to exist. The next day, he played the sound again. The mouse didn't react at all. No fear, no freezing, as if those weeks of training had never existed. The memory was gone, completely, permanently. Nader stared at the results for a long time, because he understood what they meant. If the inhibitor only worked in the moment the memory was active, that could mean only one thing. In the moment the mouse was remembering, the memory was unstable, vulnerable, literally taken apart. And to survive, it had to be rebuilt from scratch, from new proteins, in new neural connections. Every time the mouse remembered, the memory died and was born again. This process is called reconsolidation. Nader published the results in Nature. Ledoux read it and publicly stated that the work was wrong, the experiment flawed, the conclusions impossible. Dozens of labs around the world lined up to run the checks. Every single one got the same result as Nader. Ledoux eventually acknowledged it publicly, called Nader's work one of the most important discoveries in neuroscience in the last 20 years. That almost never happens in science, when someone with that kind of name looks at a young nobody and says, "You were right and I was wrong." But here's the question Nader himself asked right after the experiment. Why does the brain work this way at all? Why kill the original memory every time and rebuild it from scratch? Why not just store it once and leave it alone? The answer comes from evolution. An animal that froze in permanent terror after being attacked by a predator didn't survive, didn't reproduce, didn't pass on its genes. What survived was the animal that could rewrite pain, adapt, keep moving even after the worst thing imaginable happened to it. Reconsolidation is the mechanism evolution used to teach us how to let go. And in 2010, researchers decided to use it deliberately. They took people with post-traumatic stress disorder. Each one had a specific memory that had haunted them for years. A car crash, an assault, something that happened once but kept happening again every time they closed their eyes, every time without warning, in the middle of the day, in the middle of the night, the same moment replaying on a loop for years. The researchers activated the memory, and at the moment of reconsolidation and while it was taken apart, they gave propranolol, a drug that suppresses the emotional component during reassembly. The memory of the event stayed. People remembered what happened, every detail, but the pain, the panic, the suffocation, the terror that hit every single time had in many cases almost disappeared. They remembered, but the memory no longer broke them. Now go back to that smell of your mom's perfume. Every time you remember it, that memory is taken apart and rebuilt. During reassembly, the brain uses what exists right now. Your mood today, beliefs you didn't have back then, everything you've lived through between that moment and this one. You remember a happy childhood summer when you're 40 and exhausted now. The brain reassembles it slightly differently than it was. A little heavier. A little more colored by everything that came after. You remember a fight with someone you've since forgiven. The brain softens the edges, removes details that no longer serve the story you tell about that relationship. You tell a story about yourself for the 10th time to different people. By the 10th time, it's already a different story, shaped by every reaction you got the previous 9 times. You just don't notice. And here's the part that's genuinely hard to sit with. The people who have hurt you, your memory of what they did, has been reassembled hundreds of times since it happened, shaped by your mood, your therapy, your conversations, your need to make sense of it. What you remember now is not what happened. It's the last version your brain built. The same is true for the people you love, for your happiest moments, for the clearest memories you have. You don't remember what happened. You remember the last version of what you think happened, and the person you were 10 years ago. Their memories no longer exist in their original form. They've been reassembled hundreds of times. Every time you thought about the past, every time you told someone something, every night while your sleeping brain processed the day, who you remember yourself to be, that's not you. It's the last draft of the story you tell about yourself. But that's exactly why you're able to move forward at all. The brain reassembles memories so you can live with them. So pain goes blunt, so happiness warms you longer than it actually lasted. So the worst moments of your life slowly lose their teeth. Your memory lies to you, but maybe that's exactly what saves you. The only memory that stays untouched is the one you never think about.